What's up, guys? Steve here. Bring you guys an updated Shaddoll Invoked Dogmatika profile. So the difference is it was just a Shaddoll Invoked profile, but I didn't incorporate Predator Anaconda because I didn't have it, and if I did have it, I couldn't find it at the time. But this will have Dogmatika in it, and the other deck didn't have Dogmatika in it. So the difference is Dogmatika locks you out the extra deck. So if you're using the Deer Servant, locks you out the extra deck for the rest of the turn. So you go into the extra deck first, then use the Deer Servant, and it just helps you get more interactions and help you have a better grind game. But it just hurts you when you can't go into the extra deck. That's why you don't really run Dogmatika Punishment like that at 3 or something like that, crazy number. But I do run it at 1, so I'll show you the profile. Because Dogmatika Punishment locks you out for your full entire next turn. So that's why it's not that good. But let's get into the profile. Play 3 of the Alistair Invoker. He's the main searcher for the engine. He searches invocation. He's also boosts the stats of your fusions by 1,000, both attack and defense. So he's the main normal summon that you have for your deck. He's searchable, highly searchable. For the Shaddoll monsters, play 2 Wendy. She summons from the deck, so that's why she's good. She's a different attribute, and she's the main Shaddoll monster you want to use, or whose effect you want to get off in the turn. The one that's good against your opponent is Ariel, because Ariel banishes up to 3 cards out your opponent's grave, and I think it's better to play her at 2 because Eldritch in a lot of graveyard-centric decks like Shaddoll as well is very heavy, and if you hit cards like the Schism and then Shaddoll Fusions from grave, then they can't play. So play 2 Schematas. Discard any Shaddoll monster because it dumps any Shaddoll card. It could give you any Shaddoll Fusions or Trap to your grave, so you can add it back to your hand off your fusions. So also he's the interruption if you flip him because he's destroyed 1 card on the field. Ariel, she summons 1 from the banished area, and Wendy, she does the same thing. She just summons 1 from the deck. Hedgehog, when he's sent, he searches any Shaddoll monster, and when he's flipped, he searches any Shaddoll spell trap. So I play 1 of him because essentially Drove Lockbird do work against this deck, so I didn't want to play too many cards or open up too many cards that requires me to search in my turn, and I get locked out of searching. So Shaddoll Beast. Shaddoll Beast helps you replace cards in your hand when you go to a fusion summon, because it gives you that extended additional draw power. Also, when he's flipped, he do 2 cards instead of 1. He draw 2 cards instead of 1, and he discard any card. So he could discard Shaddolls, or he could discard Shaddoll's spell and trap. Dragon, because he could flip, and when he flip, he bounce 1 back to hand, any card on field, and when he's sent from the deck to grave, he destroys 1 spell and trap. So for the Dogmatika engine, I play 2 Ecclesias. She's a light target, and she's the main searcher for your Dogmatika engine, and she doesn't lock you out your extra deck, which is pretty good. She can be destroyed by monsters from the extra deck as well. He says that if the Dogmatika monster attacks, they all gain 500. Also, he can special summon his stuff from the hand as a quick effect to negate 1 face-up monster on the field. Then I play for my light target, I play Alistair. Eldritch, the Golden Lord, because you have Meltdown and Schisms you could send, and you can just get those cards right back, and just for a trade of a 35 beast stick, they can be destroyed by card effects. So for the hand traps, I play Phantasme, since a lot of decks are linking now. Like, so many decks have links in their build, so you have to play Phantasme to help fix your hands, and it's good because it's a dark target, and it helps you super poly easier because you already got the dark target on field before they even end their turn. 2 Ash. It's a hard one per turn. I don't want to open up 2 of them. Then you can't really fuse with Ash as well because it's a fire, and you don't run the fire. I don't run the Perka Trio, and I don't run the fire Shaddoll. I played 2 Lanciers because I ran out of space. This is a 41 card deck. I didn't want to go with 41, so I played 2 Lanciers. For the main fusion engine, the 3 Meltdowns, and then I play 2 invocations. It's not once per turn, which is good as well, but you only need 1 in your deck and to recycle them over and over again. But Magical Meltdown, I mean, if you open up Magical Meltdown and Invocation, then that's essentially the same engine. You really only need Magical Meltdown or Alistair. So open up 2 of this is pretty bad, especially when you can't fusion. So that's what you play for all the Invoke cards. You play, oh wait, that's in the main. Super Poly is the strongest fusion in your deck because you can fusion into your Invoke fusions with this and your Shaddoll fusions with this. So this card is pretty busted. And your opponent can't respond. It's at 3, so you gotta play it at 3. Shaddoll fusion, because it's your 1 card combo. This help you by itself. This 1 card can literally end the game for you because it puts so much damage on board by itself. The 1L Shaddoll fusion, because it's searchable, and you could also, it's more searchable in this deck with the Nadir service because you can always search this off of Alkaline and pitch another card, or you could always just dump it to grave and get it back. So put it at 1. Schism is a good card, it's better than L Shaddoll fusion, but you still play this at 1. So because you can search it or you can pitch it from grave to get it back from grave. Same for Shaddoll. And it helps keep your grind games by bringing back your fusions instead of just using it as a banish to flip your Shaddoll effects. But it's good going first if you have to use it because it gives you extra card advantage. So for the Dogmatika engine, I play 2 Nadir Servants for the spells because this is a hard ones per turn and I really only want to play 2. I don't really see myself playing 3 of it. It's not mandatory, and it locks you out the extra deck. It just helps you get more of your plays going. And you don't necessarily need it because I play all the cards I really want to see. Any spells I really open is pretty much good for me. Foolish Burial, because any Shaddoll effect. Help get Alistair to grave as well if you need an Alistair. So, and the Dogmatika Punishment for the last of the main deck Dogmatika cards. That's it for the main. For the extra, play 1 Predator Anaconda. For the link, the only link to you play. So help copy Invocation, Shaddoll Fusion, El Shaddoll, or Super Poly. So it's pretty busted. Then you have Artemis. Any Shaddoll becomes a light monster. Alistair becomes a light monster. Gravity Control procs their Shaddoll graveyard effects by linking them off. 2 of the windows because they can out the first one, but if you drop double windows, they can't really out that. So, Construct, you play 2. You would play 3, but 3 is if you're going to grind game pretty much every game, which is kind of much necessarily, but you're not going to shoot through your constructs like that. That makes sense. Alkaline. You need 2 Alkalines because this card can be destroyed by battle and then negates on the summon, and also you pitch this 1 off your Nadir server. So you need to have another in your extra deck just in case. For the Invoke fusions, I play 1 Mechaba. I might up this to 2, but I don't know. I had to make room for it. The Alagolis, pop card on summon, help boost its stats. Raging because bird up, and he's good against Zoo. The last Invoke is Kaliga because he negate monster effects. Well, he only allowed 1 monster effect per turn, and also he only allowed 1 monster to battle per turn. So for your Super Poly target, your Nadir server target, I like to send Entis sometimes because it's a double pop if you do it with Judgment. So it's pretty good if you feel like you could you don't need your extra deck the next turn and you just need a negative card. Your opponent 2 cards, just pop 2 of their cards to seal the game. And for the Super Poly target, I play Starving Venom fusion because Predator Anaconda confused with Dragoon, your opponent's Dragoon and himself with Super Poly to go into this card, which is pretty busted because it free up your zones and it gives you a free 28 beater that nukes the board when he leaves the field. So The side, I don't really have a side right now for the deck because I am not playing this deck right now in the tournament or at my locals right now. I'm going to start playing it around next week or sometime. But the side is pretty much going to be similar to my other decks because I play pretty much the same decks at the locals. I'm going to different locals now. I have found 3 different locals I could go to. So we're gonna try to get to other locals too, like Game of Goats and Game of World and Emporium. Never been to any of those places. I only really go to Top Cut Comics and Ridge Mall before they closed it down. But yeah, that's it for profile. Like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and let us know how you feel about the cards I play in the build and what cards you would change. Y'all stay blessed. Have a good day.